Hey guys, welcome back. So today we are talking about the reality of being a South Asian model in London. So if you've been following my journey, you'll know that I'm not actually in London right now. I'm living in Mumbai, India, but I have modeled in London for like the longest time. So I thought it'd be really interesting to share with you guys what my journey's been like, the ups and the downs, because it's been a bit nuts, to be honest. I think there's some interesting things that I can share with you guys. I want to teach you guys how to get in the industry and things like that, so that's going to be a completely different video of how to crack the modeling industry, how to get in the industry in general, even if you don't want to be a model, things that I've learned, like to get through the back door. So yeah, those will come in a different video, but this one is just my experience of modelling in London, how it's been for me. My experience of being an Indian girl that was born in the UK and that has done jobs in London, and I think I've successfully been a model. If my friends could see this, they'd be like, yeah, you have. But I'm always like, I don't know, put a lot of pressure on myself. Yeah, I think basically it's just how to get to London, how, even if you're international, how to crack the industry a little bit and create your own success in the industry in London as an Indian person, and what that's been like for me. So I was studying when I got scouted, and I got scouted by this very small agency from Nottingham that was owned by a mother and a daughter, and they saw me just walking around. I joined them very quickly, but at this time, because I was studying, it wasn't like, oh, I want to be this huge model, and it wasn't supposed to be like the be all or end all. For me, it was literally just, yeah, okay, like that sounds cool, I may as well do it. And I started modeling for end of year projects. So what it was like students that would model for other students that were finishing their final year projects, and they needed a model to like model their final year project. So I started doing that, and then I think I booked a big campaign. I don't know if it was Boots or Superdrug. I think it was Rimmel, Superdrug. And I remember the agency being like, you need to join a bigger agency. Then I joined another agency in London, and that went okay. It was fine. They were all South Asian models, so that went well. But I remember that agency at the time, it was Indian and like South Asian girls that they were really pushing. But I thought that maybe because that was very known for being an agency for South Asian models, I thought, okay, maybe if I joined an agency for all different kinds of models, I would probably get more opportunity. This is my thought process at the time. I wanted different opportunities because I feel like it was just tough back then, like when you were seen as being so Indian or so South Asian. It wasn't really cool back then, to be honest. Like it was just, oh, like what are we supposed to do with you guys kind of vibe. And there wasn't a lot of briefs or a lot of castings or a lot of anything really for Indian girls, even though it's a huge market now. Back then in the Western world, it just wasn't. So I thought it might be in my best interest to actually join a more Western mainstream agency. So I did. I applied to a few, and then I basically got signed with an agency then, and I did well with them. I did good with them. The only kind of things I struggled with, one, it was a bit unheard of for an Indian girl to be signed with an agency like that. And I remember at the time it was so competitive, and the girls were always like, which agency are you with? Which agency are you with? And I remember I was with this mainstream agency, and it was just completely unheard of. And I remember all the girls just being like, what? Like, you're signed with them, thinking, wow, like that's, like, she's going to make it big. Or there was a lot of like competitive, negative energy towards me because of that. What the girls started doing, the other South Asian girls, is emailing the agency in and saying to them, we know Shivani, like, can you sign us too? And it did get a bit silly, to be honest, because obviously like I had just got my foot through the door, and obviously like it takes a few people to do that, to crack the door open. But yeah, unfortunately I just had to deal with like a lot of competitiveness, comparison and stuff like that, where those girls also wanted to be signed and they were like, help us, which I get, I really do get it. But it was a lot for me because I had just signed. So that was happening a lot. I was signed with them and they did get me some jobs. But the booker that I also got, she was a bit weird, a bit of a strange character. She was younger than me. I don't think she was a little bit of a hot mess. She didn't really know what she was doing. And I don't know like what was up with her, but yeah, one day I just walked in to the agency and she was like, yeah, like you're called Ivani now, not Shivani. And I was like, what? Like, that's so weird. So yeah, basically she changed my name. She just changed my name. And I was very confused, and I felt very disconnected to who I am because of the name change. So I changed my Instagram to that and tried to keep it all coherent and go with it as much as I could, but it was very strange because Ivani or Ivana or Iva and things like that, it's all like very European / like Russian. So when I would go on set, people would think I'm mixed race, because I also have been told I don't look completely Indian, but that's because I'm North Indian. So Punjabis, we usually are like a bit more ambiguous looking, I guess. But India is so big that you can look all different kinds of ways from different places in India. I also bought into this fact that I was probably like not Indian, and that for me was like so weird, because I was having to explain myself on set and be like, no, I'm Indian, I've done a DNA test, but they would book me on the basis of me not being Indian or me being like ambiguous, and that is very stressful for an individual, because you just feel very disconnected to yourself basically, or like you feel disconnected to who you are, and it's very weird. It feels like you're not being yourself and you're being like a fake person. So yeah, that happened, and she just literally click of her fingers had my name changed, and no question about it. It was like what she said when. Her reason behind it was that actually they had another model called Shivani, and she was from New York, and our bookings were getting confusing. But I just think it's such a big conversation to be had to change somebody's name that it could have been more of a conversation. So yeah, I guess that was a bit of a weird one, because you don't connect with your identity when you're being booked for things. And I did realise that the agency were not booking me as an Indian model for things. So yeah, I didn't have the greatest experience with that agency. It wasn't amazing. What I want to point out through all this is I go hard for the South Asian bridal community. Like, I feel like it's given me personally so much, so many opportunities. It's helped me with my identity and like rooting into who I am. I've been so celebrated in the South Asian bridal community, or just the South Asian community in the UK. I know that after I did some big jobs here in India, I went back and they were like, oh my God, Shivani's amazing. They were like so excited to work with me and stuff. So I know the whole Indian bridal, that whole little community in the UK gets a really bad rep, because they're like, girls are like, I don't want to do that. I want to do the mainstream stuff. But I've had a great experience there. Like, I've made so many cool friends. I've had so many good memories. It has given me so much in this lifetime. That in itself has also felt like a career to me. But back in the day, that was so frowned upon after I did the Charlotte Tilbury campaign. And I'm not saying because I did the Indian Bridal Charlotte Tilbury campaign, it changed the industry. But I do think it shifted things a little bit, at least, because it was Charlotte Tilbury doing an Indian bridal campaign. And she was actually launching here in India. So she wanted to do a full-on bridal look. And that was amazing, because after that happened, I remember those same girls that would like hate Indian bridal, hate doing all the bridal Indian looks and things like that. They were then literally paying for, planning, booking their own test shoots with a full South Asian team to push being South Asian. And there was a huge shift that happened. And then that obviously brings us to where we are now, where being Indian is so cool. Like, being Indian, everything to do with being Indian in India is literally having its worldwide moment right now. And so many public figures that are pushing being Indian. So yeah, back then it wasn't like that. And then there became like a shift, which was amazing. But coming back to my story, I then joined a new agency, which is the last agency that I was with in London, called The Squad. And I went in. They found me because I actually went in for a meeting with someone else at the time that wanted to sign with the agency. And then they were like, actually, we want to sign you. And they kept pushing, and then I was like, okay, I'll sign with you guys. When I went in, because they wanted to sign with me, and I had just landed the Charlotte Tilbury campaign, not the Indian bridal one, the big one that I did, the Flawless Filter Foundation, with Joan Collins and Charlotte Tilbury and her family and her mom, and it was just huge. Then I had signed with that agency that week. So I went in on quite a situation where I was like, you know what? I know what I'm bringing to the table. So when I went in for the initial meeting, I was like, look guys, this is my experience. My old agency didn't push me as a South Asian girl. They hid me away from that whole thing and kind of pushed me as ambiguous. They changed my name. And I didn't go in like gossiping about them, but I went in being like, had a bad experience and I don't want this, because I could have gone into law, I could have gone into marketing, which is what I studied, I could have gone into so many other passions that I have, writing, journalism, so many things that I could have done, but I'm here modelling So if I'm modeling and I'm doing this and this is a career for me, then I want to be pushed as a South Asian model or an Indian girl. I want to be pushed as who I am. They were initially like, amazing, we're not changing your name, you are Shivani Sharma, it's not being changed, change your Instagram name back. We are going to push you as an Indian model. You'll get pushed for all the big beauty campaigns, all the big campaigns as an Indian girl here in London. So I was like, okay, amazing. And to be honest, guys, like I'll always be grateful to those guys because they really stuck to their word. They pushed me as who I was and who I am. And I did every single big beauty campaign that I could think of. I got the Charlotte Tilbury Indian Bridal campaign with them. I did Rimmel, I did Max Factor, I did Beauty Pie, I did MAC, I've done so many of the big Neutrogena, so many of the big beauty campaigns as the Indian face. And that is something that I am so proud of, and I'm so happy that they allowed me to just be myself. You know, at that point I was so sick of this whole thing that if they didn't, I wouldn't have carried on modeling. But yeah, it was really cool to be signed with them, and it worked so well. Anyway, then I guess to wrap this up, what I wanted to say is that I feel like I've got written here that it's a great space right now for being South Asian. Everyone's woken up and realized that being Indian is cool. The world has realized that India has a lot of money as well. From a business perspective, from a financial perspective, it makes sense for brands to actually pitch and put things here because they've realized that actually India has a lot of money to spend on these things as well. So I think they've all been like, oh, that's a huge market where we could make tons of money. So India really is having its moment. So many fashion brands, as we know, are in the West are like copying, I want to say, our styles and the way that we've done things for centuries. So I think that in itself is just showing like India is also, I mean, it's not great that they're doing that, but it does show that India's like having, like they're really waking up and being like, oh, like let's take influence from this. Like I said, it ain't great that they're copying us. And then I think right now, all those models, the other ones that haven't owned who they are, they've had a huge shift as well, where they're like, oh, actually, let me tap more into being South Asian. Let me tap into my identity and like my ancestors and who I am, because actually it's so fruitful and it will bring me and give me so much. So those girls have woken up as well, and I've realized I'm so proud of them because I've seen that they've actually started owning who they are and pushing who they really are, which is amazing. Ultimately, I've noticed that all those people that may once have looked down on being South Asian and looked down on being Indian, it obviously just came from a place of great insecurity, and we all have insecurity in one place or another in our life. I think it's amazing to see their journey as well and how much they've changed and they've woken up and they've become proud of who they are, really. I would say I've got here tough before, easier now. I think it's a great time to step into the industry, whether it be as a model, a creative, a stylist, anything that you would want to be. Basically, I think it's an amazing time to come in the industry now. It's such a great time if you're a South Asian creative to come in and make some noise and take up space and own who you are and connect with your roots and show people and create from that space. It's a really good time. And then I've got that I'm basically based here for a little bit now in Mumbai, and I'm really enjoying being in India. I personally feel like there's so much happening here in Mumbai, and I feel like this has brought me back to my roots again. At the end of the day, this is where my ancestors are from. This is home for me. Being on this side of the world, I can see that the bridge between India and the West is really like, that gap is getting filled right now. I can see that there's so much of a crossover. There's so many brands that have come here. There are so many brands from here that are going there. I can see the intertwining of the two worlds happening right before my eyes. I've seen so many PRs and brands from here do events there that I get invited to, and from there actually coming here and I'm getting invited to things here, and I'm just in shock of like how much it's intertwining. You've seen like big celebrities from here go over to Hollywood and do things over there, and go over to the UK, and vice versa, they're coming here. There's so many performances and gigs and people that are coming here and realizing, oh, India's like, they're gonna love us and we want to go there and stuff, and when they come here they're so celebrated. So yeah, it's just so nice to see the intertwining. I'm so happy that finally we've come to a space where that's actually happening, because it's really nice to see in this lifetime that, you know, there's an integration. Me being from the UK, but being Indian, born over there, raised over there, working over here, working over there, it's just a full circle moment for me when I see things like that. And it's just so nice to be a part of the whole shift and everything that's happening. So long story short, now's an amazing time if you want to get into the industry. I am going to do another video speaking about how to get in the industry, how to get scouted if you want to get scouted as a model, how I did it, tips and tricks, stories, and how to actually push yourself by using your own initiative, because it's not all about like sitting there and sitting pretty and being like, oh, maybe I'll get scouted one day. There are so many things you can do for yourself to push yourself out there and make your space in the industry. I've seen so many people do it. I've done it myself. So yeah, I think that will be really cool to share. So that will be an upcoming video. But for now, I hope you liked this one. This was really fun to talk about. It was something that's so personal to me and that I really like talking about. And honestly, guys, it's been such a journey. I'm sure my journey is going to continue, and it's going to be even wilder. But the whole thing that I've seen of like where it started and where it is now has been nuts. But yeah, I'm very grateful to have witnessed it, and I'm grateful for where things are right now in the world. And on that note, I'll leave you guys be, and I'll see you in my next video.